Okay guys, now this here is my thicknesser and I've got some issues with it. The biggest problem being, hold on, I'll spin it around. Aside from the weight, this vent right here, I'll show you a little bit closer. Now, as you can see, this vent is tiny and it's supposed to suck out a lot of dirt, but as you can see, it just gets clogged up with crap. But if you look inside of it, it just gets clogged up before all the stuff can come out, which leads me to believe this vent here is just way too short. It's way too small and it's not big enough. So I'm gonna modify this so it'll be able to have a much bigger vent here, and hopefully that should be able to get all the problems out of it. And the next one is that it broke on me. There's some little runners underneath. I'll just pull them up. They both spin together with the pipe, but the problem is that the one right here, so this one here has actually broken on me, and you probably see it. So it means that it's not spinning evenly and they're not getting a very even angle on it. So luckily I found some of these online, so I'm going to pull these ones out and then replace them. Hopefully I'll get a new one and should go all right. So I thought I'd bring you guys along and show you guys how I fab up the bigger hole and replace this bit. Like I say, this is a pretty shitty little piece. I would have thought it would be a bit of a stronger piece so it wouldn't break so easily, but it is what it is, so I'm just going to fix it up and go from there.
Okay, so first thing I had to do was lower it down so the base of it is directly flat, because if this is even off by a mil or two, then it's going to go really badly and it's not going to work particularly well. But then I had to get the pin off. There is a special sort of pliers that you can use that get those pins off quite easily, but sadly I don't have one, so it was pretty much brute force. But I managed to get it off and then replace the broken bit. As you can see here, it just pretty much chewed through it. I might have needed to lubricate up the screw a little bit, but it just broke way too easily for what it was. I am planning on upgrading it soon, but it's still working for now, so I thought I'd fix it while I could. You can see it is working now. It's spinning, both sides are going up and down, and that's pretty much what I wanted out of it. Now, this is the second part of it. This is the dust extraction port, and it's just tiny for what I need. You can see how much stuff got clogged up, and that was with the dust extractor on it, which is just pretty much useless. This is a $3 piece of PVC elbow, just a really, really fine turn, and it was super cheap, super easy, and I couldn't think of anything that would be much better to use. Luckily with this stuff is you can melt it, you can heat it up, and you can bend it into whatever shape you want. It's really, really handy like that. And just heat it up. I had 2 pieces of wood and chef fingers, so it was really quite easy to do. That's pretty much it. So this is the final bit. I heated that up and then just melted it to the outside of the existing case, just so it would take on the contours and that sort of stuff. I did it with the same side pieces, and then it was just a matter of attaching it to it. So I drew around the outside of it so I'd be able to find it, and then basically started cutting it all out with the angle grinder. Nothing too tricky. There's some weird angles, but I managed to get through them eventually. And then popping it out. Now this stuff's just regular PVC cement. It's got the acetone-based red stuff, which basically makes it so they'll all stick quite well, and then I attach the piece onto it. Now I'm not using this for final securing because I don't think it'll be particularly strong enough, but there is something else that does work quite well. But I'll get there in a minute, because I thought it'd be a good time to change the blades. Since these are the original blades that I've had, I've resharpened them several times, but it's kind of time for a new set to go in there. So I bought some, replaced them out, and put them in. Now with it pretty much dry, this stuff is called kneaded, and it's an epoxy putty, which basically means it's a 2-part putty. You rub them together, you mix them together till it's a uniform color, and then it sets within about 5 minutes, which is fantastic for what I'm doing here. Since I'm impatient, I don't want to wait for a day for it to set, and 5 minutes is just perfect. So I put it into any bits that were missing, any cracks, anything at all that would be able to do it. So there wasn't anything that wood chips would be able to catch up against, and it sticks to it really well. So it's going to hold it in tight and do pretty much all that sort of stuff. And plus you can sand it down and make it look really smooth and pretty. And then just a very quick coat of paint over the top of it. It's just some random paint I had lying down. Like I say, this is just to make it look slightly prettier. It's not really needed. And then put it in. I did a couple tests on it and it worked fantastically first time out of the bat.
Okay, so I'm gonna call this pretty much done. It's working remarkably well. Like, it's sucking up pretty much everything that goes through it. I had a little bit of problem with some of the wood. I put it on the wrong angle and it just kept chips that were about that wide, and that didn't suck it through, but everything else has been going through it perfectly. So I'm quite happy with it. It's really rock solid, so that putty has held well. And yeah, so I've got some wood that I'm gonna whack through it for a project that's coming up, and yeah, so keep tuned for the stuff's coming up soon. See you next time.